afternoon. I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to The Conversation with Al McFarlane. I'm glad to be here and glad to have you along as well. Today is May 10th, 2023. Beautiful day, heading hopefully towards a beautiful week and weekend, one that we all should and could enjoy. Mother's Day this weekend, I think. So kudos to all the moms out there in the world and all of their work in the world as well. Got a great program today. Two guests that are powerful leaders in community and culture and society. I'm pleased to know them and pleased to have them on the program today. We're going to start off the conversation in a few minutes with the illustrious Austene Van. She's a multi-talented artist, and she's the executive artistic director of Yellow Tree Theater and founder and executive artistic director of New Dawn Theater. We'll talk about her upcoming work, and we've got another project that is in the realm of women's economic development that we'll finish the hour with and have a great conversation. As always, I want to invite you to support this program and to connect with me, connect with us on the McFarlane Media team, on the Conversations with Al McFarlane team, by being a subscriber. How do you do that? You may be checking us out right now on the Insight YouTube channel or the Black Press USA YouTube channel. You could be connecting with us through our Black Press or Insight News or Al McFarlane Facebook platforms. We also are reaching people on Twitter and LinkedIn. No matter how you have come here today or connect with us, we want you to support our ability to grow the numbers and to create a strong database, numbers base, so we can monetize this project in the future. We want to get 1,000 subscribers, and we want you to help us by going over to YouTube Insight News MN. That's the Insight News channel on YouTube, and simply become a subscriber. So the milestone we set is 1,000 subscribers. We've got a ways to go, but I'm asking you today, here and now, do what you can to support us by going over to YouTube Insight News MN and subscribing to the Conversation with Al McFarlane, to the channel. So let me begin with what I call the hot topics, and I've got a couple of things to go into. One of them is a Star Tribune article today, and it's looking at the proposed legislative action on taxes. So something like 5 things you need to know about the legislative proposals for taxes. And, and I've got to clear my screen to get it available to me here. The article is called Rent Aid, Homebuyer Help, Metro Sales Tax. And it features what it says there are 5 takeaways from the Minnesota legislature's housing deal. And again, it's in today's Star Tribune. It's a piece by Jesse Van Berkel that I'm referring to. It says the $1 billion bill is the most the state has ever spent on housing, but much of that money, it says, is one-time cash. That's really different. The $1 billion bill is on its way now to the governor's desk. It devotes money to adding and preserving affordable housing. The article reads, the Minnesota legislatures are raising the Metro sales tax to fund housing assistance, devoting hundreds of millions from the state surplus to adding and preserving affordable housing and helping first-generation homeowners afford down payments. The State House and Senate approved a $1 billion housing bill this week that is headed to Governor Tim Walz's desk for final signature. The deal falls short, however, of some DFL legislators and advocates' early spending goals, but many called it an important step towards meeting Minnesota's dire housing needs. Throughout the legislative session, Representative Mike Howard from Richfield, a DFLer, has compared Minnesota's budget to a gallon of water and said state dollars for housing have amounted to a tablespoon. He says, we're putting a couple of heaping tablespoons of housing in this budget, and he said that roughly $150 to $200 million a year in the Metro sales tax increase will generate a game-changing event. And but he acknowledged that the state has never put anything like this towards housing dedicated to revenue. So it's a good thing. Well, you can read more about that in the Tribune. We'll be reporting it on in the Insight News as well. Check it out there. The other hot topic today has to do with the title it's entitled "The Anatomy of an Acquittal." And let me pull the story up that I want to share with you. Says, I have to actually call it up here on my screen, and I'm having a little trouble with that. So you know what? We'll just save that for a later show. Let me go ahead and go into today's program by bringing in my first guest, and that's Austene Van. Austene, good afternoon. Welcome to the conversation with Al McFarlane. How are you, my friend?
So good. I'm wonderful. How are you, Al? It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, but it's always good when we connect, because we have a lot to say and share and do. Let me bring you on screen if I can. I'm not sure why I don't have you on screen here, but you are doing a new production here coming up. What's on your agenda right now?
Yes, up and running right now at Yellow Tree Theater is Lady Day at Emerson Bar and Grill. Emerson's Bar and Grill, starring Thomasina Petrus and Tom West.
Tell me about it. This is a representation, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been, Thomasina has done this show a few times. She produced it once at Old Arizona. I directed her in it once at Park Square. Marion McClinton directed her once in it at the Jungle. And so we brought it back. We're a little bit older, so now we have a little more experience and knowledge, not only about the piece, but about life itself. The play is about Billie Holiday. As she presents a show at Emerson's Bar and Grill in her last couple of months of life. So it takes place in 1959, and it talks about some of her high points and low points, being a woman at that time, a performer at that time, a Black woman at that time, and a citizen of the world at that time. So it's beautifully written by Lainey Robertson, and it highlights her strength and her struggles. It's absolutely gorgeous, and Thomasina is, I think, at her most brilliant.
She's a wonderful artist and a great actress as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're getting the same thing I'm getting, but I have a placeholder as a screen image. Are you seeing yourself on screen?
I'm seeing you, and then I'm seeing me on the right.
So something's happening with me on my screen because I'm seeing the scroll and a picture of the Mississippi River.
Oh.
So I'm glad you're seeing what the public is seeing. So that's good. And I'll just go with the flow on this. Talk more about your work in theater. You've been doing so much innovation. Take a minute just to go over your personal history and the vision and mission that has inspired you and that drives you to do the work you do.
I think by the time I was 5 years old, my grandmother, Timothy Olivia Van, she made sure that her children and her grandchildren were able to experience some disciplines of our artistic world.
Mm-hmm.
And she utilized us to make sure that we entertained some of her seniors and terminally ill patients at Model Cities Health Clinic. She was the director of that clinic, which was right down the hall from Penumbra Theater.
Right.
She let us know at a young age that our art isn't just for us. It's for people. It's to heal and not just to entertain. So I knew that growing up as a little kid that this isn't for me to be stingy with, your natural talents and your gifts, and you're supposed to develop them and grow them up. But they are tools to help our community think, provoke thought, roll up your sleeves, heal, examine yourself, examine the human condition, help your community. So, of course, I became a Penumbra company member, I think in 1997, something like that. and had been working at Penumbra since I was 17 years old, and was honored and still am honored to be a Penumbra company member. I started off as an actor choreographer, and then Lou was my mentor and decided I was a director. I didn't know that I was. And he said, yes, you are. And so he threw me in, and I directed one of my first professional productions at Penumbra Theater. And that meant so much to me. And from there, from Penumbra was definitely a jumping off point to work at many different theaters, not just here, but throughout our nation, like all over the States.
Mm-hmm.
I recently directed A Raisin in the Sun at the Guthrie Theater.
Wow.
I just directed Lady Day at Yellow Tree Theater. Next year, we have a great season. I'll be directing Intimate Apparel at Oslo Rep in Sarasota, Florida, next season.
Mm-hmm.
I've directed at the Ordway before. So it's been many, many years. I think I've been in theater for 45 years. 45 years. When I decided to be an artistic director, I founded New Dawn Theater,
Mm-hmm.
which for me was kind of an extension of Penumbra Theater to make sure that there are more theaters available to offer work, creative work, production work to our people of color,
Mm-hmm.
our LGBTQIA communities, and make sure that they're supported. Penumbra shoulders a lot of that, so I felt like there just needed to be more places. There's 300 theaters in Minnesota, and there was just that one dedicated to people of color. And so that's where New Dawn was born, and the founders were Regina Williams Thomasina, Laura Esping, and Kate Gensel, and Amy Bryant, and
Mm-hmm.
I, and T. Michael Rambo.
What a great
Um,
team.
and so that was a lot of work, still
Yeah.
is a lot of work. It's still in existence. And New Dawn Theater, because it doesn't have a house of its own, is more dedicated to social justice.
Sure.
Yellow Tree Theater, I've been with for 2 years, and Jessica and Jason Peterson founded Yellow Tree, a husband and wife couple, in 2008. And I remember the first time I walked in the building, they asked me to direct the Royale and Skeleton Crew, and I'd never been there. And I drove up, and it was in a strip mall. I'm like,
Okay.
what's going on? And I walked in, and it was magical how
Mm.
it was decorated. The show that was put on there was called Grace, and it was directed by one of my favorite actors, Terry Hempelman, and it was starring Kirk Kwan and Mary Fox and Jason Peterson himself, and it was magical. So I said, yes, please, I will direct here. So I directed the Royale, and then Skeleton Crew I directed right before the pandemic. The pandemic happened, and Jessica and Jason, with a family, didn't think they were able to weather
Mm-hmm.
the shutdown. And so they
Mm-hmm.
went up north to Duluth. That is up north,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
Uh,
um,
some people call that up south, but up north,
okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I remember Jason calling me and saying, you're going to be the first to know that we're leaving. And I felt so sad, because this was a place. They didn't really say it out loud. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't really out of the closet about what they really did, Al.
Right.
And what they really did was offer a place for equity and diversity to folks. They just didn't say it.
They were just doing it.
They were just doing it.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why a lot of us felt at home
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put my hat in the ring. I was pretty nervous about it, because running New Dawn was a lot, because I was running it by myself. Still am running it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, this could be easier if there's staff. So they offered me, I not auditioned, it's called an interview. I interviewed, got the job. And then the staff that was there, Peter Carlson was there for about 6 months before I came on. So
Mm-hmm.
the staff was just Peter and I. that was a lot. And we were, trying to open up during the pandemic. That was insane. People weren't coming because they were nervous, or
Sure.
because they didn't want masks, or they did want masks, or they didn't want to be vaccinated, or they did want to be vaccinated. So Yellow Tree, which experienced 100% sales 100% of the time for 100% of their productions, experienced about an 80% loss. So that was very difficult. And then, having to shut down because people were getting COVID, having to postpone because people were getting COVID, all of the protocols and procedures that we had to go through. It still is a rough time to produce. And because I'm a little bold and courageous, we were one of the first theaters to open up. We didn't know how we were going to do it, but we did it. And we reached out to other theaters to ask them, if you're going to do it, how are you going to do it?
Sure.
So we had a brain trust to figure out how we're going to do this thing. When we had permission to open up, we still haven't experienced 100% yet. And so I'm inviting your audience to please come see Thomasina. We're putting up wonderful, excellent productions, but that doesn't matter if people don't come see it.
Thomasina.
Right? That's Thomasina.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. I can't say it enough.
She's magical. I mean,
she is.
but you are as well. I mean, your team, the work that you all do is nothing short of, and magic doesn't do it justice. It's spiritual, it's transformative, it's illuminating, it's healing, and you can use the word magic as shorthand, but we know this is not hocus pocus. This is hard work. It's excellence at its core, and a commitment to working, exploring, delving into what it means to be a human being, right? And the challenges we face all day, and bringing those front and center, raw. And I think you and artists, that's why I love you all so much. It's such a gift, to show us ourselves.
It's a privilege. And you mentioned that, and I'll be totally transparent. We need art more than ever. We've been traumatized. People have been shut in, shut away from each other. Long COVID, we've lost 1 million of us, over 1 million of us to COVID. And coming back, we're noticing that we have to hold our family and our friends in our community. We have to hold them. The art is healing, definitely, but we're finding out we have to heal our artists and support our artists as well, because they're giving so much. And when do we replenish them? When do we give them energy? When do we help them to heal, because they're trying to heal people? We're noticing that there's only so much people can take nowadays as well. Some folks are fainting because there's been so much. We've had racial issues and, all this stuff that's been unearthed and then compounded by COVID. And so the art that we make, there's no theater that you can go to that doesn't deal with issues. Not one. Even if it's a musical that we think is, just simple and mundane, every single piece is going to. But I'm noticing that people have trepidation about the issues that they want to see or listen to or hear. I'm glad I'm out in Osseo, because we can't always preach to the choir, but we do notice that there is a resistance to certain information, which is, we have to we just have to examine these issues so that we can heal. If we don't put these issues out on the table, if we don't talk about, there was a person that was so, and I do understand it, Al, so super sensitive about, so Billie Holiday, 1959, she's dealing with abuse, child labor laws she had to deal with, substance abuse, sexism, misogyny, racism, but the ism that had one of our concerned patrons really nervous was racism, and she was not going to come. And I thought, of all of the isms that we're dealing with, this was just a fact in Billie Holiday's life. This was just, I mean, it's real. It was real for her. And we have to look at it and examine it so that we don't make the same mistakes.
Right.
Just the thought, and I understand this woman's heart. She didn't want to even think about racism. The thought of it hurt her.
Right.
Imagine the experience of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we don't want to think about it, and we want to push it under the rug, and we're going to repeat the same mistakes,
keep it in play. Keep it in play. Yeah.
Keep it in play, you know. But we have opportunities, and theater and art and music has always been a vehicle to put our issues in so that people can hear and listen. I don't care if it's Forever Plaid, if it's Music Man, if it's Hello Dolly, whatever it is, there's always some type of issues. That's what it's for.
I have some more questions to ask you, but I want to bring my next guest on and have you stand by for a second, because I want to have a conversation between the three of us before the end of the program. And I'll have you think about this, the question, while I'm interviewing my next guest. I'm sure she's your friend. She's my cousin, and she's adorable. Just a wonderful person. But the question I'll ask you to think about is, you know, as a multi-talented artist, excelling in acting and directing and choreography, how do you balance these roles, right? And what insights can you share about the collaborative process within the theater community? And so, you know, in thinking about that, walk us through and you have already, but you can do more about the vibrancy of the Twin Cities, the Minnesota theatrical scene, and how our people have and are emerging through it. So think about that. Let me bring in my next guest, and that's my friend and as I say, cousin, a leader and young elder in the community, and that's Kenya McKnight. Kenya McKnight is doing phenomenal work as a trailblazing entrepreneur. She's the founder and CEO of the Black Women's Wealth Alliance, and a person that I've had the fortune and pleasure to collaborate with, supporting innovation that she has done, that she continues to do, to bring opportunity to our community. And by the hour, I mean the big hour. Everybody benefits from the work, the vision, but the work is organic, because when I'm saying our, I'm also speaking about our Black community, and I'm speaking again organically when I'm saying our. I'm talking about our Black women as an economic and cultural force. So, you know, what you say at the micro level about Kenya and her work manifests itself at every level toward the macro. I think that's a wonderful synchronicity, I think the right word, where there's genuineness in her vision, in her voice, and there's power in her work. Kenya, good to see you, my friend. Welcome again to the conversation.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Always so grateful for the gracious words and life that you continue to speak into me, about me, and around what we're doing.
You have always been, and you continue to be so cool. You know, you're so cool, and you're so fierce. You know, and you are so audacious, and you are unapologetic, and you make stuff happen. You get it done. You get it done. So what can I say except for just tell the truth? And the truth is what I'm saying right now about you, Kenya McKnight-Ahad. Welcome, sister, my cousin. Welcome. So you're doing a lot of stuff right now. Give us a walk through all the stuff on your plate at the moment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Let me see. How do I summarize this? So one of the the Black Women's Wealth Alliance is just wrapping up a big rebrand, which is super exciting. You know, my team got me to move away from the orange. As you can see, I still love my burnt orange, carnelian color, to some more vibrancy. So we've shifted our brand colors. Our logo has changed. That was huge. We've moved into a new era of our existence. as well as we've restructured our entire scope of work. So we're a new organization right now, and we haven't rolled out much of our newness yet. We're still, just finalizing some details, but that is super exciting. We have a stronger digital presence that we're building for a lot of our work. Over the 9 years that we've been around, this fall, this August makes 9 years that we've been in existence serving Black women, which is huge, a big milestone. And in that, we've done a lot of different innovative, creative work that's been spontaneous, that's also, been in response to Black women based on where they are in the moment, in the movement. So our work has shifted quite a bit. And this rebrand also, Rich was spurred by our strategic planning. For the first time, we really did a deep dive last year to build a strategic plan that really helped reshape our entire identity, our strategies, the scope of work we do, and really how to get back to the root of our work, which is wealth building. Over the last few years in COVID and beyond, we got caught up in the whirlwind of just entrepreneurship, which is an important tool to build wealth. But our base work is about building wealth across business owners, but also employees, workers and students. And so I'm excited about the digital wealth work that we have, and the new books that we've created, and ways to help people across Minnesota, but also across the world now, engage in BWWA's work. So we're preparing for a relaunch. The spring got by us, but this summer, because we were still in winter, I don't think nobody really realizes we're in spring now. So we're excited. So that's a big thing. We have big staff changes. We shifted our team members because we no longer need the same type of, folks that we've had before. So I'm excited about the funness of our work now. And so we're building a base of new team members who, can help us carry out the exciting, fun work. Like, we need to have fun and experience more Black joy. And the Black Women's Wealth Alliance needs to deliver on that a little bit more, because we're working hard out here, right? Black women, and, everything's about training programs, workshops, and, but I want to have a little bit more fun. And so we're excited to launch our new series that's coming up. So that's the internal BWWA. Again, new scope of work, new brand identity, new set of tools, new team. And I'm building a team that can run the company without me being its chief operator. So I'm really focused on legacy right now in my life, and figuring out how my work lives beyond me and still benefits the greater good of the community and the intentions that I set in founding it, which is serving Black women. So that's that. Part of how we're also taking our work to another level is in 2021, we purchased a building, 1200 and 1210 West Broadway. Those two buildings, which is known as home to Breaking Bread Cafe, formerly Tri Construction. And so in purchasing the building, we've undertook a big renovation to really take the building, but also business life on the north side to another level, specifically on the corridor, West Broadway. So we are taking our 28,000 square feet property and turning it into a 34 square feet. We're adding 5,000 square feet, so it'll be 33 square feet. And we are adding about 15 more suites to the building. We're adding the Northside's first food hall. So we'll be, moving away from the restaurant model, building a food hall. We're building a mental health zone here for about 8 different practitioners. We're building a spa as well as a salon that's Black owned, Black run, and that will serve 10 entrepreneurs in both. In the salon will serve 10. The spa will serve 10 entrepreneurs itself. And then we're building an event space that's about 2,500 square feet that has about a 1,000 square feet rooftop that
Hmm.
faces West Broadway. So it'll be the first rooftop on the corridor that faces
Amazing. Yeah.
Broadway, and
Yeah.
we will also keep our commercial kitchen because we currently have the only commercial kitchen on the corridor, and sit down restaurant on the corridor. So we're going to keep our sit down outdoor space and our commercial kitchen. So we'll probably be serving about 50 entrepreneurs from the 14 that we currently serve.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, what you have talked about reflects a vision of collaboration. Let me put a question to you to have you build on it. How do you effectively leverage the private sector, government entities, and community organizations to collaborate with Black Women's Wealth Alliance so that you can continue to amplify the mission and to even more effectively empower Black women?
Yeah, I'm working hard at it. This is a $10.8 million project. I started off thinking I needed 1 million. And turns out it's 10.8 million. I've raised, close to 8 million of it. So I'm working.
Kudos.
And I've, just in the last year and a half, and government has been a really big partner, particularly the city of Minneapolis.
Mhm.
Hennepin County is a strong partner. Met Council is a good partner. D and the Minneapolis Foundation. I mean, these have been key core players that government has really stepped up. They're my biggest partner, in
Mhm.
this. And I'm now working on philanthropic and private sector folks to join into this project because, this is just one of many things that need to happen,
Yeah.
across our communities. But
Yeah.
this is part of how we move the dime. And we can't do this project and make it affordable for Black women and just Black entrepreneurs without their support. So what I'm doing is just creating an opportunity, for us all to play a role in creating the future that we want to have collectively. And so I create partnership opportunities for not only them to finance, right, but for
Mhm.
them to add value, to volunteer their time, right, to help give the advice, to donate furniture, things like that, to keep the cost down, to sponsor certain, suites and different things to help keep the cost down for entrepreneurs, and also just to help advise along the way, post redevelopment as well.
So, take a minute just to review. I know you don't dwell on this, and nor do I, but it's always cool to remind us the context that the struggle comes out of. Number one, we know the real core, though, as you called it, is Black joy and the opportunity and the capacity, the desire, the impulse to build, to create, to design a future in which our people win. But that operates inside a social structure. So what are and have been some of the systemic barriers and societal biases that Black women often face when pursuing economic equity and inclusion, a fair share? And how can these challenges be addressed individually and collectively to create the right kind of environment for progress for our people, for Black women? What do you think?
Yeah. I can't wait till this done. I have a story to tell, right? Another chapter of my story. And I think, one, you just have to be clear about your vision, right?
Mhm.
And stand firm in that. And, you got to be agile because there's always other ways of seeing it, but you don't waver from what you see, what you believe, and what you know is necessary. And you've got to stand your grounds. And, you've got to, it's tough, right? Because some of the things that, right out the gate, I was undermined a lot, right? I mean, people thought, oh, you're crazy. This building isn't worth what you're going to buy. You're getting robbed. I mean, the insults to my own intelligence, as if I didn't do my homework or even knew, that what the building value was. But also I own a whole wealth company. So for me, the higher the value, the more, wealth building I'm doing
The
here.
opportunity, yeah.
But so we have to be mindful that, look, I'm in the middle of the heart of the North Side. And the narrative about who we are on an economic front has a lot of mixed messages, right? And the biggest, loudest voice is the message of poverty, of struggle, of pain, not the message of prosperity, which is a light that I shine and stand from and try and push to talk about what our value currently is. Not that we need so much value, we already have it. And it's about helping to cultivate, spaces for the other aspects of our culture, of our existence, of our reality, of our life to be expressed outside of just the pain and struggle. Although we acknowledge it's here, we grew from it, but it's not the only expression of who we are. And
it
so
doesn't define us.
That's right. But the narrative politically, and the philanthropic and the it's all about that, right? The struggle. And so when you're doing something like this, it can be met with opposition, right? Of gentrification, or you've lost your way, Kenya, or and so we've doing education at the same time to say, hey, it's great that properties are valued higher, because Black people are always, we've been complaining forever that our properties are valued lower. Hey, I'm sitting next door to the Minneapolis Public Schools, one of the largest developments on the north side. This property should be worth more than what it is. If it was over south, it'd be worth 3 times what it is, right? So, but the education around that is what you have to keep doing in that space to kind of combat, or to, just help grow our understanding. So I was faced with that first, and then all these people they wanted me to talk to, go talk to this white person or that person. And I'm thinking none of them own the building. I need to talk to the person who owns the building, and that's, so the process, right, that I took, was the process that people who want to purchase commercial properties and redevelop them take. But it wasn't one that I think isn't as normalized as what we do in our community, although there are many people before me who own buildings who have taken this process. But I also am a Black woman, right? So I was met with, somehow having a sub understanding or intelligent levels about what I'm doing, very undermined around my vision because I don't know anything about the construction industry and how the process works. So, hey, it's not worth you're wasting money because you want to make improvements on the property after you buy it, knowing you're going to redevelop a year and a half later. It's not worth it, Kenya. It was worth it to me because I wasn't after how much money I was wasting. I was after the kind of impact I wanted to have on our community, about how we feel about how things are looking in our community, about how they're operating. So I came in and made, close to $200,000 worth of investments that someone else saw as a waste. But to me, it was about adding value. It was about showing integrity, respect, decency. And it cost me some tenants and a few other things who, wasn't used to the changes, because before, like, just a small example is when I became the owner, I'm an owner, like, I grew up in this neighborhood though, right? My mom lived up the street. So I understand like what's happening here. I work over here, and so I'm involved. I know what's happening. And so I can see what was going on with my building. My value wasn't just about getting paid from my revenue, although it's important, right? My value was about how my building operated, what the culture was, what the amenity looks like, how accessible it was to the community, and making sure the culture of the building was respectful. So I had to part ways with some tenants where that wasn't the case, right? So I lit up, the first thing I did was put lights all around the property. We got caterers, food trucks. It's dark in the parking lot. So I lit it up, right?
Yep.
New cameras, new this, new toilets. A lot of people have sat on these toilets over 14 years. New carpet, and the newness was scary to my tenants, right? Because they're like, oh, she's changing. There's so many other things I can talk about. But the point is I had to lead with my vision and my values and stand firm, in the doubts that people had about my decisions, my vision. And as a result of it, the community, I get a lot of good, proud comments, right? About, hey, it looks great. I like the women on the building. I like this. Yep. But that's what it's about.
You're making a statement. Your presence, your building is making a statement. with the images on the building and the beauty of it, and it's
I
organic.
got lights at
It's natural. Yeah.
I got lights at night. There's a light show, at night. There's a big signage. And I think it's about raising the bar. We're in the corridor. We need to operate as if we are running businesses here. We are not just running, and businesses that people should have access to, to come in and use for services, not just things that people walk by and look at. And we need to take more pride into how these buildings look. Right? It matters to people. It has an impact on their wellness, on how they feel about where they live, where they are. And as a business owner, and as a property owner, it's my job to care about what my property looks like and how it affects people. So I had to part ways with some of my tenants who are responsible for a lot of public safety. There were shootings on my site, all sorts of things before I bought it. And the same activity was happening after I bought it. And I parted ways. And now we've reduced the public safety by 70%. Awesome. Just in this area because of that one decision as an owner. That was my power, right? And my responsibility, though. That's right. Right? Of how I contribute to the wellness of this community. And so I take that serious. And those are some of the things that decisions I had to make, some of the challenges I faced with, even raising money and, people looking like, who do you think you are? And to do what you're doing. Oh, that's a big project for the North Side. And I'm thinking, well, if I was a white person coming over here trying to do something, it'd be expected that millions would flow, right. But I'm working 20 times harder just to raise $10 million in a state that has a $17 billion
surplus. Right. Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of lip service, but be that as it may, we still move, right? We move and we do what has to be done. And we do it with the spirit of confidence and with an intent of succeeding, of winning.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I'm in tears sometimes. I'm like, this is hard. What did I get myself into? Oh my gosh,
Right.
But I have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me bring Austene Band back in. She's backstage nodding. I hear her co-signing everything you're saying. And I think that's a good way to broaden the conversation and just sort of talk among ourselves, about the notion of the work at hand. And I think what you all are saying to each other is that we can do this. We've taken this. This is ours. And we are unstoppable. And victory is both imminent and inevitable. Neither one of those can be questioned. It's near. We're at that point right now, and it is a foregone conclusion. We will win. You say that by the confidence and courage that you bring to work and to life every day, every breath, every step. So kudos to both of you. I wanted you, Kenya, to take a minute, though, to talk about some of the entrepreneurs that you're bringing through right now. You've got some stuff coming up in the next few days, and your mission. Share that with me and Austene and the other viewers here.
I'm so excited. So the Black Women's Wealth Alliance, we've shifted a lot of our entrepreneur work to working with holistic and beauty professionals, which is representative of our building, which is called Zara. The building is named Zara. Zara means to be radiant and to flourish, just like a flower. So we're all about accentuating the energy of Black women, entrepreneurs in our space. And this is how we're doing it. So we're excited. We're part of Open Doors this weekend. So if folks know about Open Doors, it's an exclusive event where our building is over 100 years old. So it's considered historic, not technically, but it's historic. So we're going to have hundreds of people visiting, touring our building to understand its history and what our current vision is for it, for the future rather. And so that's happening this whole weekend. And then on May 22nd, we have 10 Black women entrepreneurs here who are massage therapists, estheticians, regenerative health workers, astrologers, retailers who sell, apothecary products and butter, soaps, all that. So we have a range of women here. And we're going to do an introduction, a soft opening on May 22nd from 5 to 8 p.m. here at the building, 1200 West Broadway. So These women are incredible. They're all mothers that have very complex lives. They're students, some of them. And, many of them are newer business owners. Some of them are more seasoned. So we have a nice combination of both, so that they're able to mentor and also inspire, each other. We work in a cohort model. And in our cohort model, we took on these, 10 women to work with them over the next, year and a half to help, build the back of their office, build their offices, their businesses more along the spectrum of industry, to get them into the real marketplace to earn opportunity, because over $20 million annually leaves the North Side in the very industries that they're in. But we need a way to capture that. So we're helping to create a structure for these businesses to grow themselves, to retain some of those dollars. And that's the work that we're doing with them as a cohort over the next year and a half. And we're looking forward to the next cohort of women and men that we'll be working with once the Zara is redeveloped, because we break ground early winter 2023, and we'll be ready, by the early fall, late summer of 2024. So we'll start a new cohort. And again,
will the new building be on the same site or a different site?
It's the same site. Okay. And the building in itself is an incubator. I should have said that, an incubator that will serve entrepreneurs over a 3 to 5 year period, right? And while you're here, you get affordable space, right, for leasing, and you get back office support and financial assistance from the Black Women's Wealth Alliance to help grow you in your back office, in your practice, in your industry, and get you set up to be successful. And then you move on and a new group comes. So that's what we're doing, and that's who these entrepreneurs are, and we're excited to be working with them.
Austene, what do you think? Isn't this inspiring?
Oh my gosh, that's the word for it. You're my superhero of the year, Kenya McKnight-Ahad. Yeah. I'm very thoughtful. My body is tingling. My brain is tingling because I do know that there is a campaign to make sure that Black leaders of color don't succeed. And I see that effort. I see that at the higher institutions when they're trying to get rid of certain folks that are Black leaders, and every single place. I was very thoughtful as you were speaking about what Black ownership, especially property, what that means, and why it's usually an obstacle for us, because land and wealth is everything. It's everything. It's legacy. I was thoughtful as you were speaking about all of the, like, my family's from Tulsa, so I'm very, very thoughtful about, that town being bombed and all of the Black neighborhoods and towns that are now underwater. Because they wanted to make lakes or parks and all of that stuff. I didn't know that stuff until about 2 years ago. I knew about Tulsa, but I didn't realize that there has been an effort to make sure, like a bigger effort. I knew about the effort. But the fact that you would put towns underwater to make sure that Black people didn't have. I'm doing, what I didn't mention, Al, is that I'm directing Ain't Misbehavin'. Which is, it looks like just a cabaret show, but historically, every single song, everything about it is important. And so it's not just Black bodies doing a dance or singing a song on stage. And so it's deceptively complicated, complex, not just in its history, but socially and psychically, but it's at the Capri. The Capri is so wonderful. It's state of the art. Us theater people would kill to have a place like that. And it's right there. It's right there in North Minneapolis, 2027. Penumbra wishes it was a theater like that. Yellow Tree wishes it was a theater like that. And it's a gem for that community. And it's theirs, which is exciting. It's a point of pride. Like, that is my theater. That's my theater. So one of the, and I think it's so beautiful, because why can't we have that? Why can't we have that? Why does that seem like sometimes it's beyond our reach? It's not. It's not. And so that it's there means the world to me. And that there are going to be Black bodies on a stage that's in North Minneapolis, doing that particular wonderful historical classic piece is amazing to me. And it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do that. Miss Kenya, I want to sit down and talk to you. I was thinking about how there are 300 theaters in Minnesota. We do theater here. We do theater. And of those theaters, there are about, let me see, there's Ricky Thompson, who's now the artistic director at History Theater. He's a person of color. There's a CEO at the Ordway now, Mr. Harrington. He's Black. There's Marcela Lorca, who's from Chile. Me, Sarah, and Signy. Of 300 theaters, there's 6 people of color leading. That's a little over 1%, maybe. So that you have the courage. Things are hard, and things are hard now because there's targets. There's targets on our backs. People, the perception is that we don't understand business. We don't know how to do things. We are going to change everyone's what they consider their own, which is very fascinating. I get some certain kind of different letters because I'm out there in Osseo with Yellow Tree. And so though my programming isn't any different, it's not any different. I'm presenting the same type of programming, but to certain folks that are out there that are nervous about the color of my skin and the fact that I'm female. So their perception is that I've changed their something. They felt ownership about Yellow Tree. They still feel ownership about Yellow Tree and don't realize how much I love it and care about it.
Right,
and
right.
That I'm a good leader as well. I don't want to see this fail, but the perception is there's a Black woman leading this historically white theater and that it's going to become something else. It's not. But we're just putting our foot on the gas of what we do, what's been happening, which is we're making sure you think, not just that you're entertained.
Bringing different information too, because the information that a lot of what they do is built on is misinformation, erroneous and skewed to keep us at the margin and keep themselves in power. But Kenya, talk vision. Talk 5 years from now. You'll be gone out of direct control of Black Women's Wealth Alliance. What will the cohorts you're creating now have created 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Austene, as a creative, as a director, as an entrepreneur in the arts arena, what will the lay of the land look like as we have continued to succeed 25 years from now? Kenya, you first. We've got about a minute each.
Yeah, I just want to say too, every barrier, there's an opportunity, and it isn't, there's just as many more of them who are happy to work with us and help us in our goals. We just have to create the opportunities. I don't look for opportunities, I create them. And I think that's vision. And that's also the way we have to lead and trust God. And whatever that faith is for you, keep that in front, because that is the war, the battle, the work that we're really doing. It isn't really about where we are now. It's about where we're headed and the work that we all have to do to help get generations over the line. And so for me, these women will, in Minnesota have reduced the wealth gap by 40%. They will be stable. They'd be able to help, take care of their families. They will own their own properties. They will have their own facilities. I'm a starting ground, a facilitator, but they will be owners of their own empires, and we'll keep building that through generations, and we'll be expanded across the country and then the world.
Austene, you got to leave in about a minute. I'm going to have Kenya have the last word, but before she comes back, and I know you got to leave right now, 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. We should never be the first of anything anymore. That's what I'm hoping for. A lot of times where I go direct in certain spots and places, or I'm leading certain spots and places, or I'm acting in certain spots and places, and I'm usually the first to do that role, the first Black director to do the first something. In 2023, that shouldn't be. We have to grow up our younger generations to make sure that they are ready and in place and take courage to lead, and that seeing a person of color in leadership is not foreign or strange or odd. It should be normalized somehow.
That's the way the world is. That's the way
My
the world's
mentor,
going.
Lou Bellamy, said, I told him, I said, I'm the first, I think, it's at both places, first Black female director at both the Ordway and the Guthrie. And he said, oh, Austene. Right? He said, that is not good. I said, I know. We have to make sure that we see us everywhere. We can't do anything about the fact that people are nervous about our leadership or afraid about our leadership. We have to take courage anyway. You just have to take courage. And so I'm hoping that in the next few years, because I'm 1,000 years old, that I see more people not only taking their place at the table, but making their table.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I created New Dawn Theater, because I couldn't just stand by and wait for people to give me jobs. I'm going to make my own job, and I'm going to make jobs for my people, and they're going to make jobs.
Extend the invitation one more time.
Absolutely.
Extend the invitation to Lady Day.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. So Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill, starring Thomasina Petrus and Tom West, is at Yellow Tree Theater in Osseo, Minnesota. It's brilliant. She's brilliant. It closes May 21st. And we have some discounts, rush tickets. We've got $20 tickets. We just need you to come see it, because you can't miss this. This is going to be in the history books, her performance and her ministry of this particular work. I don't want anybody to miss this.
There we go. Austene, thank you so much. Kenya, I'm going to close with you now. Got about a minute left. Thoughts, and you can invite people to support the openings that you're bringing to the market in the next days.
Yes. Yep. Black Women's Wealth Alliance. Look us up on Facebook, social media, our website, and you'll learn more there. I know we just have a few seconds, but you know what? Be encouraged. Remember that, look, our ancestors had to do the work that they did. And so there's no exception for us. We have to put in our work and help to get this next era that we're ushering in across the line. It's our job. It's our responsibility. And none of us can do it all, but all of us can do something. And as long as we continue to do what we can, the way we can, how we can, and when, and bring other people along, we'll keep advancing the future we all need. Thank you.
Thank you. Continued success in all that you do. What a great program. What a great conversation with Kenya McKnight-Ahad and with Austene Van. Join me again this time every day, 1 o'clock every day, for the conversation with Al McFarlane. We will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.